Hey, what's up, everyone? Well, the reviews for Redfall are out, so let's go ahead and talk about them. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to BRAP. Yes, this is a solo rant, like Newtonian just said. What's up, Newtonian? What's up, Atlas? And yeah, look, I wasn't planning on doing a BRAP rant this evening. Um, I was actually planning on playing Jedi Survivor, which I've been enjoying quite a bit, even though there were some performance issues at with the launch version of Jedi Survivors, playing it on PC. Some stuttering, some frame rate issues, but nothing to the point where it was taking away from my enjoyment in the experience of the game. And that's actually important to note because there is something that I'm seeing in regards to the reaction by the Xbox community to the Redfall review. So if you look at the Metacritic score right now, Redfall is sitting at 64 Metacritic, which, look, I have enjoyed many of Arcane's games. They have really made some really good games, and this isn't one of them, unfortunately. You'll see some 90s reviews. I look, I don't know who We Got This Covered is. I don't know who that is. But Xbox era, Somos Xbox, anything Xbox or PlayStation related in terms of fan sites, review sites, websites, I don't really put too much weight into reviews from those console centric websites. And so you'll see here, IGN Spain gave it an 80, Hobby Consoles gave it a 78, Survivor gave it a 75. So I mean, it's got some positive reviews, but then you go towards the bottom here, and this is when you start seeing more of the more, I would say 74 is probably average-ish in terms of reviews. Gaming Nexus says Redfall is a bigger and much more deliberately paced game than I was expecting. Funny multiplayer. I found that I enjoyed it even more solo, creeping around with a sniper rifle, shooting vamps with stake launches from afar. I was able to play Redfall as a stealth game, which was highly enjoyable. So here's another review from Game Rant. It says Redfall's ultimately a fun experience thanks to the world, the enemies, and the gunplay itself, but as a whole, it's incredibly shallow one too, because this some may question whether it's worth the price tag, but it's noteworthy that Redfall is launching on Xbox Game Pass. And I have seen this reference to Xbox Game Pass and some of the other reviews. And, I really don't want to see a stigmatism applied, or the stigma applied to Game Pass like this. Like, oh, well, you know what? It's not a great game, but it's in Game Pass. Engadget, their headline for the Redfall review, and this is the headline from Engadget: Redfall review, good enough for Game Pass. Like, I don't want to see, or I don't want Game Pass to be associated with mediocrity, or hey, you know what? If it's in Game Pass, no big deal. That's not why I signed up for Game Pass. And then you start seeing the 60s right here, the 60s. And even some of the Xbox sites gave it a 60. GameSpot gave it a 40. GameSpot says Ultimate Redfall is a game that should not have been released yet. Its litany of bugs hampers the gameplay loop of exploring its world with friends, and the loop itself feels compromised by elements that are poorly executed and ill-suited to the team implementing them. And this is pretty consistent with some of the other reviews that I've read. AGC said it's one of the worst games of 2023. Others have said this game feels empty. The AI feels like the AI is not very smart. The game feels half-baked. Poor optimization. Greg Miller, XCast reviewed it, said Redfall's a major disappointment, and that sucks. Mr. Matty Plays says Redfall is shockingly bad and serves as an eerie reminder of Fallout 76's launch date. It tosses away the fun, complexity, and interactive nature of Arcane's former titles for a lifeless world filled with more bugs and creative content. By the way, big shout out to everyone in the live chat. I didn't give you guys a big shout out, but do me a favor, smash that like button if you haven't done so already. So this is for me. It's as a fan of Arcane, it's a disappointment. It's disappointing. It's disappointing for me because Arcane has made some really good games. Some really good games. I mean, Dishonored's one of my favorite games. And when you start seeing these, Deathloop was another solid Arcane game, but when you start seeing these headlines, good enough for Game Pass, that's not what I want Game Pass to be associated with. I don't want that. I need to sign up for Game Pass to have mediocre games. Atlas says, gotta hate it. Arcane made my favorite game of all time, Dishonored. Dishonored's a great game. And what I'm seeing now from some people in the Xbox community is because one of the issues with Arcane is that it has bugs, has performance issues. People are saying on the Xbox side, well, why did the reviewers bring that up for Jedi Survivor? And Jedi Survivor right now, by the way, has an 87 on Metacritic for the Xbox Series X. And so people are saying, and it's got a 86% on PlayStation 5, Jedi Survivor. And so people are saying, hey, you know what? Why did Jedi Survivor get a pass? And some people are saying it's a double standard. And look, and I gotta say, look, Xbox community. I'm a fan of the Xbox. I subscribe to Game Pass. I think it presents a tremendous value proposition. I was an Xbox Live beta tester. For those who don't know, I've been on the Xbox platform for 20 something years. But their production pipeline and some of the misses, and look, Hi-Fi Rush, a great game, great that they did stealth release, but like I've said, Xbox needs something to move the needle for the platform. And you could sit there and you can tell me, oh, well, they're not really concerned about selling consoles anymore. No, they are. They still want to sell consoles. They also want to push people into the Game Pass subscription. And you're going to do that with delivering some really good content. You're going to put people in Game Pass when you have that must-have killer app. Remember the impact that Halo had with the original Xbox when that launched in 2001. Imagine if Microsoft had something like that on Game Pass. Imagine if they had like a God of War like game in Game Pass or Horizon Zero Dawn. And I'm saying that they have to do the over-the-shoulder third-person perspective. I'm talking about from a game that for content that moves the needle for the platform. The way Halo did, the way Gears of War did. The way Fable did. But we got to stop doing here, Xbox community. We got to stop comparing. This always happens. A game comes out that has performance issues and it scores higher than an Xbox game that has performance issues. And people are like, oh, it's unfair. Jedi Survivor's held to a different standard. Look, these things exist on a spectrum before there are going to be games where, despite whatever performance issues that game might be having, that those performance issues may not take away from the overall experience. that they are core things of a video game. Because again, you got to remember these things exist on a spectrum: graphics, gameplay mechanics, performance. Like frames per second, things like that, loading times. I mean, all these things exist on a spectrum. It's never necessarily always a one-to-one. We got to stop doing this. We got to stop the whataboutisms. We have to stop comparing what reviewers did with Jedi Survivor, because again, these things exist on a spectrum. And with Jedi Survivor, in my experience, and I played the PC launch of Jedi Survivor, yes, there were some frame rate issues, some stuttering. Load scenes would kind of stutter a little bit when they're loading in. But the performance issues that I experienced weren't enough to take away from my enjoyment of the game. And that happens with video games. And we can't sit here as the Xbox community, we can't sit here and say, oh, well, Jedi Survivor, that wasn't held to the same standard by reviewers, so there must be something nefarious here. No, this just isn't a good game. Redfall just is not a good game. And there are aspects of Jedi Survivor that are really good, that work very well, that overshadow those performance issues for some of those reviewers. Jilly Bomber says Elden Ring had performance issues and was game of the year. Exactly. Elden Ring had launch issues. But the core experience of Elden Ring was so good, that the performance issues didn't impact that experience. Again, that these things exist on a spectrum. In the Xbox community, we got to stop doing this, the whataboutisms. Stop it. My biggest frustration with, and there's going to be some pro Xbox centric podcasts that are going to do this. They're going to look at this game. They're going to say it's media bias. Look, this just isn't a good game. And Microsoft needs, they need a win here. Hopefully it's Starfield. And look, and that's not to take away anything from Hi-Fi Rush. Hi-Fi Rush was a great release, nice stealth release. Kudos to Microsoft for doing that. But that's not the kind of game they need to move the needle. They need something that is going to captivate people, that's going to get people to want to go out, subscribe to Game Pass, want to go out, buy an Xbox Series X or Series S. And Redfall isn't it. It's just not. And you look from a PR perspective, I mean, geez, these last 2 weeks for Microsoft have not been good. This game, the CMA blocking their attempted acquisition of Activision Blizzard. I mean, we're year 3 into this console generation. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I do believe that the Xbox One, the first 2 or 3 years of the Xbox One, which was Microsoft's, probably their worst performing console generation. The first 3 years of the Xbox One in terms of content, I think is better than what they've shown so far. Mario 187 with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Alice is like, don't bring up Starfield. I was really hoping that Microsoft Touch was going to infect that thread. Look, I don't understand what happened here, Redfall. I remember hearing early on that some of the folks that I knew that played the game early on felt like Redfall was a game that was kind of designed like during like the 360 generation. And maybe that's what this is. Maybe this is some kind of passion project, but again, this isn't the issue with this game. And not that, look, I know somebody's going, well, PlayStation doesn't always knock it out of the park, BRAP. I get that. The difference between Xbox and PlayStation, though, is that when PlayStation lays an egg, they have the other games that are in the Game of the Year conversation, that reviewed well, that are critically acclaimed. They have so many of those that they overshadow those misses. Xbox doesn't have that. It's unfortunate. And again, my perspective, and I know people are going to be like, "Oh, you're always hating on Xbox BRAP." Look, my standard, my bar for them for Xbox. And I think this is part of the issue. I think some people are just new to the Xbox ecosystem, but my experience of them goes back 22 years. And so they set the bar really high during the original Xbox and Xbox 360 generation. The games that released on those platforms were incredible. Some of the largest, most popular, critically acclaimed franchises were born on those platforms. And they haven't had that yet. And I'm telling you, these conversations, the optics, they do matter. They matter because you see it. I mean, I can't tell you how many friends that I have that go out and buy a PlayStation 5. Why? Because everyone's got a PlayStation. Because word of mouth. And you got Xbox here. And from a news perspective, if you look at the news cycle for them since last week and now this week, I mean, you're gonna hear a lot of people talking about the state of Xbox this week, especially after the ABK deal being blocked. And it's probably highly unlikely that the CMA's decision is reversed. I'm not saying it won't happen. It could happen, but it's highly unlikely. And then we have the release of Redfall. What else do they have after this now? What other big game? I mean, it's crazy. A lot is resting. There's a lot of weight resting on the shoulders of Starfield. Big shout out to Agent Deli. Deli says there's a lot of criticism to be had this week for Xbox. Yeah, I agree, Deli. And look, this criticism doesn't come from a console war perspective. Again, my perspective is 21 years in the Xbox ecosystem. And look, I mean, I said it again a couple minutes ago. Some of the most popular, influential franchises of our generation were born on the Xbox. Think about that for a second. That's what I want. I want to see God. Remember the Ninja Gaidens? They had Ninja Gaiden. Remember Elder Scrolls Oblivion? Whew. God, when Oblivion released on the 360, it was like, yeah, this is next gen. We haven't seen that on the Xbox Series consoles. We're year 3. Redfall didn't start out with great PR per se, or not PR, but just the optics and the conversation around Redfall didn't really start off well, especially with the 30 FPS debacle. This game doesn't look like it's demanding from a hardware perspective. I don't know. Maybe you could clarify that, Deli. But it doesn't. Redfall doesn't seem to me like it's a visually or a demanding game where it couldn't run 30 FPS. And then you read the reviews and you see that the world is lifeless. Like, what? Like, how is this okay for a next generation game, a current generation game? Again, on a platform that was marketed as a machine that eats monsters for breakfast or whatever it was they told us. And I hate to sound like I'm beating a dead horse, but like, as somebody that is a fan of the Xbox console and wants to see Xbox do well, It almost seems like they just can't get out of their way. It almost seems like the Washington Commanders of gaming consoles. Deli says this isn't very world's most powerful console of them. That's the point, Deli. And when do we see that? I mean, we're going into year 3. Hopefully, it's Starfield. I think Starfield looks incredible, but the footage that we saw was running on PC. Xbox needs Starfield to hit. They need Starfield to be in that conversation of game of the year. They need Starfield to show, to get people excited to jump on to Game Pass, to sign up for Game Pass, to go out and buy an Xbox Series S or Xbox Series X console. And I hope, and I know what's going to happen with the conversation around Redfall, because I'm seeing it right now. People are already gravitating towards the low hanging fruit of, well, Jedi Survivor had performance problems and it got an 87. There's a double standard. No. These things exist on a spectrum. They're not a 1-to-1 all the time. But let's not do that. Let's let Microsoft know, hey guys, this isn't acceptable, Xbox. These types of releases aren't acceptable. You've asked us to spend $500. You said that the Series X was the most powerful console. You need to show that. And for the Xbox influencers, stop making excuses. And to Xbox leadership, stop following those people that are making excuses. And stop following those people that are making, xenophobic, homophobic comments over some of the characters in some of PlayStation's first-party games, because you are following some of those people, which is really strange. It's a point that Mr. Matty Plays brought up on Sacred Symbols recently, and I agree with him 120%. It's weird that Xbox leadership is following some of these toxic people. I mean, geez, just think about that for a second. Why are they doing that? Jason the King says a Jedi Survivor gets a higher score because it's Star Wars, which is understandable. I don't agree with that. There's Star Wars games that haven't reviewed that well, Jason the King. Jedi Survivor is actually a pretty good game. I'm playing it right now. And then I've played some Star Wars games that are terrible. This isn't one of them. And this is Respawn. They did a hell of a job with Jedi Survivor. Hell, they did a great job with Jedi Fallen Order. But I don't agree because it's a Star Wars game that's why it's scoring higher. I think it's scored because it's a good game. I mean, there's, like I said, there's Star Wars games that previous Star Wars games that haven't reviewed well. I would say probably, just in my opinion, this is the Star Wars, the Respawn Star Wars games are probably some of the best since Knights of the Old Republic. I just want to see better. I just want to see better from Xbox. I want to see better. I mean, this Halo Infinite, this, look, again, they've done some good things this generation, but they need to start showing some content, like some. And look, I don't really care about them buying ABK. That doesn't, that's not really, that doesn't really move the needle for me. If they do, great. Then I get another title a year in Call of Duty, maybe, depending on which Call of Duty it is. But this is like this. I don't know. I've never. Something's got to change here, right? Like something's got like I think there's a lot of people here in the live chat that are fans of Xbox, as I am, and want to see Xbox do better. I think there's a lot of people here in the chat I'm seeing that feel that same way. And I often feel like sometimes based who Xbox leadership follows on Twitter, they're listening to the wrong people. They're listening to the people who just want to cash in on the Xbox name and say everything's great when it's really not. It's a great point here, Atlas. He says, I want Xbox to do and be better for the market and for us as consumers. Atlas, I agree with you 100%. A better Xbox benefits all of us. But this right here is the reviews of this game and the state of this game released, the way it's released, how empty it feels. The Metacritic 64. The headlines, like I said, Engadget's. Engadget's review was good. It's good enough for Game Pass. Good enough for Game Pass. I don't think those are the headlines that Microsoft wants to see. And actually, the Engadget review isn't too terribly harsh, but still, that headline, and that's probably unfortunately what people are going to always read. I don't think Microsoft leadership can be happy with that kind of performance or happy with this kind of release. Mario 18 said with a $5 super chat says it's the leadership that needs to be replaced. You need to hire Sean Lane and Reggie or Andrew House to take over now. Look, I think Phil Spencer's done some really great things. I'm just not so sure that Matt Booty's the right person. And I'm not sure that maybe Phil Spencer from managing a production pipeline is the right person. Based on what we've seen, we've heard, if you've listened to David Jaffe, you've heard Jaffe's criticism of Phil. Dr. Martin Van Nostrand says, do we really think Microsoft leadership cares enough to make a change? I don't know. It's a great question. Based on what I'm seeing in terms of the production pipeline, I don't know. I don't think so. I think they're just, well, we know they're not happy. I mean, Jeff Grubb reported that leadership's not happy with the performance of Xbox. We know that console sales are down 30%, I think it was that console revenue for the last financials or their last quarterly financials. But they got, I tell you, that Microsoft they need that game. Games will cure all problems for a platform. And now you have this game sandwiched in between Jedi Survivor and we have The Legend of Zelda coming out. I think it's next week. Tears of the Kingdom. I think that comes out next week. Let me look that up real quick. All right, when's Tears of the Kingdom come out? Let's see here. Oh, May 12th. Thank you, Mario. So May 12th. So releases in 11 days. So you have Jedi Survivor, you have Tears of the Kingdom, Redfall in the middle, and Redfall. It's going to miss it. It's not going to be part of the conversation. It's not going to be relative to the conversation. I feel like, and that's been this generation for the Xbox. The buzz around Xbox has been for the wrong reasons, in my opinion, this console generation. It's been misses. It's been the Xbox community so hyped up for the ABK deal. Why? Just so you can dunk on the PlayStation community, so you can chalk up a win. What you should be doing is championing Microsoft to make games that speak to this $500 console that many of us bought, to release these new experiences that really move the needle for the industry. Yeah, Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, some of the gameplay looks really good. I mean, I've heard some people playing it saying it's going to be game of the year again. But Dr. Van Martin's right. He says the buzz is around spec and unfulfilled promises. That's what it is. There was so much hype. They hyped up the Series X. They bought all these studios. Nothing. To me, as a consumer, it feels like unfulfilled promises. They haven't met expectations that they've set themselves. Meanwhile, you have Nintendo and you have Sony that are releasing great games. And not that Xbox hasn't released some good games. There's been some good games there, but not at the level of consistency and quality that they released, in my opinion, on the original Xbox and the Xbox 360, and hell, even the first 2 or 3 years of the Xbox One generation. They need Starfield to hit. They need to end Starfield on a high. Starfield needs to be that game that ends this 2023 for Xbox on a high note, because if it does it, this is going to be one of the, because remember, this was supposed to be, if you listen to some of the Xbox centric podcasts, this was supposed to be Microsoft's year, 2022. Remember that? This was supposed to be their year. Redfall, Starfield, Forza. We don't even know when Forza's coming out. Starfield's been delayed. It wouldn't surprise me if it got delayed again to November or December. I mean, Fusion 64 is right. He says every year was supposed to be their year, but it never comes. Yeah, it feels like that. I mean, every year we talk about it. Oh, this is their year. This is going to be their year. And it just never happens. Atlas, I have not played Redfall yet. I'm going to be playing it tomorrow. I'm going to go play some Jedi Survivor because they did release the patch today on PC. And big shout out to Slomo Backslap. He said he saw about a 30 frame increase in performance, which is pretty significant. Fusion 64 says Xbox. This is actually a great point. Fusion 64 says Xbox content creators have lied and done a disservice to their audience. Yeah, I don't disagree with you, Fusion. I'm not going to say all of them because I've there's some Xbox content creators that have taken Xbox to task and have held them accountable. But I do agree that they are more fanatical Xbox content creators that have done a disservice to their audience. They've done a disservice to the platform. They've refused to hold Xbox accountable, and it's detrimental. It's anti-consumer. I always said fanboy behavior is anti-consumer. But like, I don't even know how this game. Like, I'm thinking, like, how did this game come out? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, Microsoft had to see this game in development, and they thought it was okay to release this game. Like, considering how little content, how much has been delayed for them in 2022, they think that this is okay to release this kind of game. I don't get it. What's up, Jimmy Harrison? I don't get it. I don't get, like, where's the quality control here? You always hear stories about Shuei Ishida seeing God of War 2018 and be like, nah, this isn't it. You guys need to go back to the drawing board. And Santa Monica did. I'm going to ask everyone in the live chat, how many of you own an Xbox Series S or Series X? And out of those that are in the live chat right now that own Xbox Series S or X, how do you feel about Microsoft or Xbox right now? How do you feel about your purchase? I'm really interested in knowing. Well, Mr. Anderson, thank you for that feedback. I appreciate it. Mr. Anderson says, I'm playing Redfall and it isn't terrible. Has some cool ideas, but it definitely needs more time in the oven. There seems to be a severe lack of oversight at Xbox. Thank you for that. That's actually, yeah, no, that's a great point. I mean, that's kind of like what I was just saying. Like, how can they release this game that feels empty, that feels, like has some performance issues that impact the game experience? Where's the oversight? Xavier Hendricks says, I do have an Xbox Series console. Phil, I bought empty promises. Carlos Crespo says Xbox best days were under Peter Moore. Yeah, those were great. Those were great times. Those are great times during the Xbox generation. Look, Microsoft, Xbox, just I just want to see better games. Oh, here we go. Apex Predator says, BRAP, the game wasn't developed before Xbox bought them. It was Bethesda's choice to delay Redfall and Starfield. It's hard to blame this on Xbox. Apex, Microsoft owns Bethesda now. They own ZeniMax. I understand the game was in development, but they can come in there and say, no, you know what? We're not releasing this. We understand this game has been developed. Apex, how many times do we hear about games getting canceled in development? Maybe, remember Amy Hennig's Star Wars game that was in development? They canceled it. That's just one example. And no, like, Bethesda's not going to be the scapegoat here because Microsoft is managing them. They own them. They own them. That's called managing that production pipeline. That has been one of the central criticisms we've had of Xbox on this show. Yeah, Brian Lewis says, I have a Halo Special Edition Series X. It's been a good purchase. Game Pass has been amazing value. That's great. It's great. I mean, again, like I've said, Game Pass certainly is a tremendous value proposition. But for me, B-Lou, I'm not spending $500 to play old games on Game Pass. I'm not doing that. Why would I do that? I could have just kept my series, my One X, and still had access to the same catalog of games instead of paying, going out and paying $500. Again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with you purchasing a series. I'm just saying for me personally, that's not why I spent $500. Is Redfall meta currently lower than Bleeding Edge? I hope not. And I don't think Redfall is going to have lots of legs. I think it's going to be one of those games we look back. Well, no, I don't think we're going to look back at it. This game's not going to have legs. I don't see this game lasting more than a month. I don't see it happening. I am going to give it. I am going to play the game tomorrow. Hopefully, I can. Hopefully, I can co-op with some of the BRAP panel members. I think Slomo is going to be playing tomorrow. By the way, we have 119 people here watching. Can we hit that? Can we smash that like button? Let's smash that like button. I appreciate it. Apex Pro says, Brad almost said, trust me, and I got a PS5 Ragnarok bundle yesterday. Apex, I hope you're enjoying your PlayStation 5 bundle, sir. Hope you're enjoying it. Ragnarok's a great game. It's not there's some parts of the game that I really didn't care for, but overall I thought it was a good game. Yeah, Xavier Hendricks has agreed. By the time Zelda, Diablo, Final Fantasy drop, absolutely no buzz will be with a Redfall. Exactly. So think about that. You have Diablo coming out, Final Fantasy 16, which looks incredible. I do think Diablo looks great. I know Ono X Alex is not doesn't seem too excited for Diablo 4. We actually had him on to talk about the Diablo 4 beta. I enjoyed what I played from the beta. All right, see, Fusion 64 with a $5 super chat. Thank you there, Fusion. Says, as a fan of the OG Xbox and 360, I have no faith in Xbox management to release quality games in a timely manner. This after what happened in 2022. Jimmer says, I own an Xbox console. Honestly, I don't know if it's worth turning on except for multiplayer games. I I keep telling people the best Xbox is the PC. Get a PC. Apex Predator says, I was planning on getting a Series X, but I was like, nah, I got a PS5 instead. And plus Final Fantasy 16 sold me on playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake, and it's good. It is. Final Fantasy Remake's a hell of a remake. So wait, I thought you had a Series X console. Maybe not. What's up, Dark Optimus? Yeah, Dr. Martin Van Notre says, Brap, I heard it tell you were an Xbox game, a beta tester back in the day. Yes, I look, I'm one of the reasons why Xbox Live exists today. I was an Xbox Live beta tester. But yeah, Fusion, I mean, like the 360 in the original Xbox days were just amazing console generations for Xbox. And again, this is where my criticism of Microsoft comes from. It's like imagine like rooting for a sports team, right? Like remember, I'm going to use the Commanders as an example again because they're the easiest. But remember when they used to be called the Washington Redskins. Remember when the Commanders were winning Super Bowls like not every year, but they won 3 Super Bowls in an 11-year period. They were consistently in the playoffs. They were great. And then Dan Snyder takes over and totally tanks the franchise. And thank God he's selling the team now. But for many years, our standard here in Washington was that of the Joe Gibbs era of winning Super Bowls. It wasn't even a question if we were going to win a Super Bowl. It was an expectation. So Microsoft set that bar. Yeah, the Geeky Nerd. I was just mentioning, discussing that Engadget title, Redfall, good enough for Game Pass. Like that's not. I don't think Microsoft doesn't. Microsoft leadership. You can't be happy with that. You cannot tell me, Phil Spencer, Aaron Greenberg, you guys are happy with that kind of headline. Like you guys need to do something, move the needle here. Like I don't care how great the value proposition of Game Pass is. At some point, you're going to hit a plateau if you're not giving those killer apps, those must-have experiences that make people say, "Oh man, I got to sign up for Game Pass." They have all these great games, and look, and then on top of that, they got all this other stuff. Like let's just go back like 20 years, right? Let's go back to the original Xbox. Imagine this. I'm going to paint the scenario for you guys here. Imagine this. Imagine Game Pass existed on the original Xbox. And on the original Xbox, Halo launched, Combat Evolved. Then MechAssault came out. Then Jet Set Radio Future. Then Splinter Cell. Then Panzer Dragon Orta. Then Ninja Gaiden. Then Itoji. Think about those games, those titles. Go look at those titles up. Go look at the reviews for those games I just mentioned. Imagine those games launching in Game Pass. Think about that for a second. Dark Audimus forgets it. He said, yeah, that would have been epic. Absolutely, Audimus. It would have been epic. Think about that. Halo, Splinter Cell, Ninja Gaiden, Panzer Dragon Orta, Jet Set Radio Future. Think about that for a second. I mean, those are the must-have killer apps. Imagine Cliffy B on the stage at E3 revealing Gears of War for the first time, and it's going to launch day and date in Game Pass. Think about what? People would have been like, yo, sign me up. Sign me up for Game Pass. Apex First says, BRAP, I still have the One X. Couldn't find Series X consoles in my area until last week, but I thought about it really hard. It was tough. I loved Xbox's 360, but I made the right choice at PS5. Oh, wow. Okay. I'm actually surprised here, Apex. I thought you had one. But hey, you know what, man? Look, you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Enjoy whatever platform you enjoy. And look, anyone who enjoys Xbox, that's fine. Like I'm not gonna disparage anyone if that's your platform of choice. That is fine. Oh, Jimmy Harrison brings up Jade Empire. Okay, so let's do this, Jimmy Harrison, right? So think about let's go down the list. Let's go back and let's just say Game Pass existed on the original Xbox. So Halo Combat Evolved, Ninja Gaiden, Dead or Alive 3, Jade Empire, Knights of the Old Republic. And then let's say Game Pass goes to the 360 generation. Mass Effect. Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Halo 3. Forza 2. I mean, just imagine those. I mean, raise of hands here. Who wouldn't go to subscribe to Game Pass right away? I mean, I would have been that's when they announced Game Pass, that was how I envisioned Game Pass. I thought, my goodness, if we get games like Halo, if we get games like Ninja Gaiden, if we get games like Jade Empire, if we get games like Knights of the Old Republic, if we get games like Oblivion, if we get games like Lost Odyssey, Oh my goodness. Think about that for a second. Jim Harrison says Jim Harrison goes Bloodwake, Mech Assault, Crimson Skies, Ninja Gaiden, Halo, Splinter Cell, Project Gotham Racing. I mean, Jimmy, there was another racing game that was exclusive to the original Xbox. It was it Rally Car? Oh, let me see here. Give me a sec here. Redfall review popped up on my Google search. What was that rally car game? Rally Sport Challenge. That was it. Rally Sport Challenge was an Xbox exclusive. It was a amazing rally car game, and it got a sequel, Rally Sport Challenge 2. But let me see, Rally Sport. I'll tell you right now, so Rally Sport Challenge, the Metacritic for it is 87, and it was a it was a it was an Xbox exclusive. Microsoft published the game. It's published by Microsoft Game Studios. Digital Illusions was the publisher or was the developer. Yo, Jet Set Radio was amazing. Jet Set Radio was great. But that was sort of my expectation, my thought of what Game Pass could be. And I just don't think Microsoft has lived up to that expectation. For me, they've put a lot of like older games to kind of fill out the Game Pass library. But look, a lot of people want to compare Game Pass to Metacritic. Look, even Metacritic, not Metacritic, I'm sorry, Netflix. I don't know why I said Metacritic. A lot of people want to compare Game Pass to Netflix. But even Netflix, they put out content that you want to see. New content, original content. Disney does it the best, in my opinion. They own very big, valuable IP, but the Netflix doesn't have. But still, I mean, at least with Netflix. But yeah, Netflix. I mean, I don't really like Netflix has some stuff. I may watch older movies that I've already seen, but that's not really the motivator for me for Netflix. Oh wow, Apex! That's really cool. You said Apex purchases my grandmother's 55. By the way, got excited when I got a PS5. She was God of War. She played the old trilogy on the PS2, and she's been playing all day today, nonstop. That's awesome. That's actually pretty cool, Apex Predator. That's actually really cool. It's cool you can share that experience. Michael Donnelly says Phil Spencer, Matt Booty, and Greenberg need to be fired. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Something needs to happen. Kim now says T-Mobile gives me Netflix for free. Yeah, it's funny. T-Mobile gives me Netflix for free, but Comcast already gives me Netflix for free. And is it Comcast? I think Comcast does Xfinity. Jimmy says, dude, 2007, Bioshock, Halo 3, Mass Effect, 99 Nights, or 90 Nights, Chrome Hounds, Ninja Gaiden 2. Yes. Oh, man, I remember Chrome Hounds. Imagine those games in Game Pass. You see what I'm getting at here? Compare those games that Microsoft was releasing, and imagine if Game Pass was around back then. Xbox needs to do better. This isn't acceptable. Somebody owns the platform. Somebody's investing in the ecosystem. Not acceptable. It's not. And a lot is resting on, I think, Starfield's got to hit. I think it will, given the pedigree of Bethesda and Todd Howard, but that game has to hit. It has to hit. Or else this is going to be one of those years of 2022 where we're like, WTF, what happened to Xbox? And I got to be surprised. I will not be surprised as relates to the ABK deal if it gets blocked in the EU and the FTC. And that's just going to be another thing that people are going to just be like, that people are going to say, WTF, what happened? What happened to Microsoft in 2022? But the thing that cures, the thing that corrects this conversation is releasing content. That old saying, winning cures everything in sports teams. Yeah, Jimmy Harrison's like, yeah, Starfield has to fire on all cylinders. It has to. Starfield has to be that definitive moment. 3 years into the Xbox Series generation, they haven't had that definitive moment yet. In my opinion, they haven't had it. I don't think they've had it. Starfield needs to be that. I think Starfield will, just given the pedigree. I mean, there's that leaker. There's a leaker who was right about Redfall and who also voiced some concern about Starfield. But I again, Mike, I'm not. I'm going to give Todd Howard the benefit of the doubt here, based on his previous track record. I know Fallout 76 wasn't good, but he wasn't as actively involved in that particular project as he was working on Starfield. All right, we got about 129 people here. 45 likes. That's it. Come on, everyone. Hit the like button. Smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Bring Cliffy B back, huh? I don't know. I mean, what is Cliffy make another like does he make another shooter? Mr. Graham, don't remind me about Halo. I always thought that, the Halo Infinite debacle was kind of an omen of sorts to how this generation might play out. And I was like, nah, I'm just overthinking it. Now I'm starting to think maybe it is. Yeah, I heard that Dark Optimus Cliffy B is supposed to bring back Lawbreakers. What's up, Rodrigo Pio? Is that what's up? Yeah, see, Jimmy, you know how I feel. We go back to the OG Xbox days. That's the thing. I'm starting to think a lot of these content creators are being either super disingenuous or they're just new to the Xbox ecosystem. Like last generation new, or maybe even this generation new. Because if you're an OG like me and Jimmy, you know the quality, that high bar that Xbox set during the original Xbox and Xbox 360 days. Yes, I remember Test Drive. I think wasn't Burnout 3. I think Burnout 3 was exclusive on the OG Xbox. Yes, Unreal Championship. Whoa, man, they had Unreal Championship. Can you imagine that? Again? You remember? Think about what I just said. Imagine Game Pass was available on the original Xbox and all the games I just listed. Now we're talking about Unreal Championship. We're talking about Return of Castle Wolfenstein, which also was very popular multiplayer component. I don't see when I look back at what they did previous console generations, something just seems off. When I benchmark what's happening now versus what they did the 360 and even last generation, the OG Xbox, the Xbox One. Remember, Titanfall was exclusive. Dead Rising 3. Was it Quantum Break? They had the Insomniac exclusive. Well, I forget what the game is called now. Sunset Overdrive. Thank you, Hoovy. Sunset Overdrive. I mean, that was like, oh, Fusion Frenzy was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Well, look, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this rant because I do want to go play some Jedi Survivor. I just, this is again, it's not been a good news week. The last 2 weeks for Xbox. The ABK being blocked. They need some wins here. They need some wins. There's a lot riding on Starfield at this point now. Or they maybe need to get a third-party game into Game Pass that's exclusive, time exclusive, whatever the case is. They need something to move that needle. Kitty Girl says that PlayStation owner, I want Microsoft Xbox to do well because it gives Sony competition, helps them do well. I agree 110%. Nah, Dark Animus, they're not done. They're not done. But they need some wins here. They need some content that really moves the needle, that I think gets the fan base excited, that gets gamers talking about Xbox in a different light than what many of us, who are being honest, are having conversations about with Microsoft and Xbox. Yeah, Christopher, I have the PC version of Jedi Survivor, so I don't know if the patch downloaded automatically or if I have to, do it now, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to hop on and see how it's performing. Yeah, Jimmy Harrison, I don't disagree. They're not done. Xbox is not done, but this hurts. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, Sony's had a somewhat, I think, relatively quiet year, to my disappointment. But I mean, that Burning Shores DLC from Horizon, oof, it's a great looking game. And it looks like a next generation game. When I paid $500 for my PlayStation 5 and I'm playing Burning Shores, it's like, oh, this is why I bought a PlayStation 5. So I spent $500 on this console. And again, that was supposed to be the weak console. And then they have Spider-Man 2 coming out this year. So that game's going to look incredible. Yeah, I don't disagree, Onimus. PlayStation has had a mid-year, but it's been better than Xbox. Yeah. I mean, even PlayStation's down year has been better. Or slow year, I should say. Anyhow, I'm going to go play some Jedi Survivor, but I want to thank everyone for hanging out with me this evening. This impromptu BRAP rant. I wasn't anticipating doing a rant tonight until I started reading some of the reviews and just started shaking my head. And again, I'm a fan of Arcane games. It's disappointing. It's disappointing to see them put out a game like this. It's disappointing to see Microsoft not having something that really speaks to the Series X yet. And I'm telling you, a lot is riding, I think, on Starfield now. So do me a favor, everyone, before you leave, hit that like button if you haven't done so already. And if you're new to the show, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you're alerted when we go live. We'll be back this Wednesday. We'll be talking more about Redfall. and some other gamer related topics. We'll be back again Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you again for everyone for watching. I appreciate the support as always. Please, again, hit that like button if you haven't done so, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications so you're alerted when we go live. If you want to give me a follow on the Twitters, it is BRAP_podcast. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you Wednesday.